Undertaker gets tagged in at one point. Big choke slam to Shane. Looks like he has the match won, and The Rock breaks up the pin, telling the story that the faces aren't necessarily getting along. Remember, if any of the faces pin any of the heels, the person who gets the pin is the champion. It's time to crown the king. Welcome to Tales from the Attitude Era. Oh, is that the Sheik? Oh, no, that's...
Guido Mongol.
I apologize.
Sheik.
Everyone just looks like the Sheik.
The Sheik.
Welcome to Tales from the Attitude Era. This is Rob Pasbani, as always, joined by former WWE writer Tommy Blacha. And we are reviewing. We go through every episode in the year 2000 of WWF programming in which Tommy had a hand in. And we're not just talking about Mae Young. Am I right? Okay. We're reviewing King of the Ring 2000. And this was in the Fleet Center in Boston. Sold out crowd.
Well, before we start, I remember this was one of those great weekends. Night before, and I lived in Manhattan, was a house show, Madison Square Garden, going down there to get some footage of none other than Donald Trump and what many people thought, like, was that his daughter with a young Melania?
Yeah,
a very young, and which I didn't even realize till years later. Oh my God, that was Melania with him. They're just a house show, and it's like, oh, get some Trump footage. I think interview with him to be like, who's your favorite, The Rock or whatever. But it was just. Which it really was nothing. It was like, oh, it's Trump, Yeah, Trump's.
Well, I will say he already was doing politics because Lawler asked him, and he goes, "Well, besides you,
of course. Well, yeah,
of course. Besides the king, I'm gonna have to say The Rock," and then he turns and does the piece.
Yeah,
just like yes, I'm a man of the people.
Yeah, it's just amazing to be like he was just such a side goofball, real estate, whatever,
Yeah, he was just like a New York celebrity, basically. Like it was like, he was like almost like a mascot for the rich.
Although
city.
People knew him everywhere just from Trump Casino and things and what have you. But it wasn't. It's just kind of like weird. Like, oh my God, that was Melania. She was like,
I was curious too, like, is Melania a smart mark? Is she like, the work rate in this match is poor. I didn't like the finish. I need a clean pin.
I'm going to say no.
No. Okay, fair.
But
really a tough schedule. I mean, look, they had to do, and Madison Square Garden is always a big show, I remember. Because it's like the home court for WWE,
right?
And like Vince doesn't usually come to house shows; he'll show up to a garden show,
right?
It's a special place. I still mark out when I when I go to the Garden for a concert or whatever, looking up at the banners. So they had to have a legit show. They couldn't. I don't think you could really phone it in at a Garden house show. A little bit, but you still gotta.
Well, here's weird. The pros, they say, no matter what, house shows are different because I think you never phone it in. I don't think any of the pros ever phone it in, ever. The thing that's different about house shows is the finishes aren't so precious or complicated. It's like, oh my God, that's going to damage me, whatever. It's like, yeah, heels lose. I think there's much less resistance or impact of just putting someone over in a house show. And that still was the holdover of kind of like it used to be the live event. So you'd see all the stuff on TV and the squash matches, and then you go to house shows and generally heels lose.
Yeah, the live event is kind of the payoff to television back in the day.
Right.
Obviously now not so much.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
And so they're kind of fun in the sense that there's just less pressure. Mm-hmm. So in a way, I like house shows a lot because people aren't phoning it in per se, but there's less pressure from time of matches and guys get to work things out. So often you really see great wrestling and, as this show or your opinion about things when you look up like, oh, what those were just, what do you mean? Everyone, just lost or whatever. It doesn't it doesn't matter as much. So I don't, I don't think it's ever. It might have the conceit here that like, oh, things are phoned in because there's no finishes that are weird, and it's like, you know, this era and the TV, and you know, where's the swerves, where's everything? It's just so straightforward. But the matches themselves often are better. The wrestling.
I agree. I believe in terms of going to see WWE live, house show is the best thing you could go to. I feel like it's the most authentic experience for WWE. And then I would say maybe a pay-per-view, and I would put a Raw or a SmackDown as like the least fun shows to attend as a live viewer, because you're essentially at a TV taping. They don't play to you at all anymore.
Yeah, and often you really get that good old school thing of like the heels just love to sell ultimately and lose and roll out, and you know,
and just like hot dogging. Like I love playing to the crowd. Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, there was nothing like I've seen like one of my favorite things, like Cowboy Bob Orton just selling so like preposterously, so entertainingly, you know, and just everyone just like, you know, Morocco selling like just like literally like 5 Hogan back scrapes in a row. You know, just like crazy like that. That's just so fucking hilarious and, you know, amazing. So
my favorite selling was always like the Mr. Perfect Ric Flair kind of flopping around, like overselling. Like I would always get going with that.
The best guys ultimately have that incredible selling. Mr. Perfect, Arn Anderson, Cowboy Bob Orton, you know, they were that just like their selling was as good as like you know, other people's offense or whatever. They're just like unbelievably, you know, and new weird inventive ways of selling. Arn Anderson and Mr. Perfect had just like crazy things they would do that are just like, oh, that's fun. Yeah, incredible.
But I guess what I was saying is, you know, you do have to save something in the gas tank just because you know you have a pay-per-view the next day and you really got to perform there. So you don't want to do anything to injure yourself. Like I doubt there were any massive high spots. Like they were taking it relatively easy.
I could argue with you there, where the good pros and like a lot of people is like the more you kind of figure like, oh, I got to protect myself from injury, I'm going to get injured. Because as everything plays out as it should be, and as people protect each other, that shouldn't be a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, if you know what I'm saying. So
yeah, absolutely.
You know, so.
I want to, before we get into the main pay-per-view, I want to quickly talk about Sunday Night Heat. I gave it like a quick scan through, and I noticed that the format of the show has changed. For the pay-per-view shows, like before, like I remember it for the pay-per-view shows, you would essentially do an extra hour at the arena of the pay-per-view, and sometimes do matches, do promos, and this episode, it was very meticulously planned because it was matches taped at SmackDown the Tuesday before with Kevin Kelly and Michael P.S. Hayes doing commentary, and all the participants in the matches were guys not on the pay-per-view. So to keep kayfabe a little, like, hey, we're at the SmackDown arena. And then for like the last 2 segments, then you went live via satellite to the King of the Ring venue, and you had like one promo from The Rock, did like a final push for the pay-per-view. Do you remember like the decision to change this format? I'm guessing it was just too stressful to book another hour the day of a pay-per-view, and it seemed unnecessary.
Well, also it was kind of like really trying to morphing into what now is like pre-shows, and you know what I mean? And like, how do we use that to just promote the pay-per-view? You know, that was the be all end all of everything, is like, oh, how can Sunday Night Heat promote the pay-per-view? How can Sunday Night Heat be a part of the pay-per-view drive kind of deal? And then, you know, everything's always so that wonderful marketing machine fluidly morphing into, now we have like pre-show fan access, which now I think is completely out of control and opposite now, like, oh, WrestleMania, like 3 days in a row, like, oh, all right, take it easy, you know. Even the Super Bowl, like I think of like, for me, that 2 weeks before, like we got 2 weeks media blitz for the Super Bowl, it just is like diminishing returns of like, used to have like, instead of 10 people asking the same 12 questions, now we have 200 people asking the same 12 questions. And you know what I mean? So,
and it's weird. Like this year for the Super Bowl, like there were wrestlers doing media at the Super Bowl, like being interviewed about the Super Bowl, you know, like celebrities go there to get press for themselves to talk about the Super Bowl. It's very interesting.
It's just a media feeding frenzy. And it's very interesting. And also, I just think it's diluted. It's just diminishing returns. For me, I'm like, I'm a football fan. I'm just like, I just ignore it those 2 weeks, you know, up to the game. Like, just like, all right already. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's not enough. But, well,
anyways. Let's get to the show. This was a very easy show to watch. I feel there were 11 matches, which is a little more than normal. And I was so struck by how, like, you got through the entire quarterfinals of the pay-per-view within like 45 minutes of the show. You got through the entire first round. And I feel like nowadays, like 45 minutes will pass in a pay-per-view and maybe one match will happen. You got through 4 matches, and there really is something for these shorter matches. I think it keeps my attention more in a way, rather than these like long 20, like if every match doesn't need to be 25 minutes.
Well, and also and like, I'm always a fan, like we talked before, there's something about that format of a bracket that just informs everyone, they know where they're going. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it's kind of like, okay, now what's the story that we're cutting backstage and what's happening here and how long is this going to be? And now we got an in-ring promo. Did that go too long? Shit, we got to cut this. You know, that's all where this is like, here it is. And, you know, so I think, you know, people sometimes complain about them. But for me, I'm always like, yeah, I get it. You know, I wish, you know, storylines come out of a bracket, and it is more, you know, like, it is more like a sport this way. So love it or not, but no,
it was great. And I really enjoyed it. And I love the story of the tournament. I feel like you really put over Rikishi as being a tough guy for having to deal with all the punishment.
Yeah, and that's something that, like, you know, here and there goes away. Like, we're both fans of those, you know, marathon New Japan, you know, things.
Oh yeah, I love the G1.
You know, I like all that stuff. I don't know how much that would go over here. Like, oh gosh, you know.
That's fine. We had a fan question actually for the King of the Ring. This brings me to that, where they were asking, was there any thought about turning the tournament or doing a round robin tournament on WWE TV? And for those that don't know, a round robin is, if there's 8 competitors, each competitor would have to face all the other 7 competitors in the bracket, and then the person with the most wins of the 7 matches would advance or whatever the rules would be. Do you think that's something that WWE fans would have the attention span for in 2000 specifically?
Well, see, here's my opinion. Done well, done correctly, with full support behind it, and I think yes. But here's the problem, is like, even bringing that up in whatever the creative, do they, you know, when you're asking, do they have the attention span for it? Like, well, that's by concept. That's already backwards in my mind. Cause like, to me, like everything can work if everyone gets behind it and makes it work. And you have, you know, this, if it's like half-assed and then, or just, you know, immediately there's pressure with like, nah, they don't like it. It's like that in any kind of TV development. Like, okay, here's a sitcom about this. Well, the kids like it. Well, I don't know. It stunk. The kids don't like that. Well, no, it's not that kids don't like that premise. It's that wasn't well executed. So I always go back to that. Well, and it's a shitty answer, I guess, but like, executed, yes. Not well executed, then it becomes the excuse. They don't have the attention span for round robin. Well, if what wasn't done well, or you know what I mean? Do you get behind it and do it? The thing about WWF and E, which was great, is like, even this King of the Ring, they don't have a lot of tournament things, but here once a year they do. You know what I mean? Royal Rumble. Oh, that's great. Not all the time. So I think they would, but I just don't know if I have the faith in the apparatus of the thing about this time is that you had Vince, and if Vince said, we're having a round robin and we're shoving it down their throats and we're going to make it work, then, okay, maybe the first one will be dicey. Maybe the second, you know what I mean? Then it could be. So, but
and you had the talent. I mean, that would have been like, a month of amazing in-ring action, with the people you have working there right now. So I agree, it could have worked.
But it seems like nowadays I would fear this happening. Like, it starts to, this is too complicated. It starts to immediately have cracks in people's opinions about it. Like, I don't know, because that's the way it is. Who's running creative? And, I don't know, get him out. This isn't good. And, so it might just fall apart.
There is a bit of a learning curve to understand the rules and the psychology of the tournament. But once you're locked in, I feel like there's so much intrigue in the numbers and the stats and how you can play with the wins and losses. You could really create some fun scenarios.
It's funny. There's been a lot of things I can't remember, like different, that I was always a fan of. Even when they fell apart, I was a fan of them. Like, AWA had some team things and like point systems that were immediately, like whoever like announcing. And so now the 5 point, the explaining of it makes it kind of funny, even if it's bad, but also in pure pro wrestling thing, to me, I'm always thinking of like, how could we deviate from that? Or what could be the controversy that comes out of that could go into another storyline? So for me, I always just think like that. I never think like, that's like a poisonous way of thinking from a creative behind the scenes sense. It's more like, I was like, get behind anything and make anything work. Anything can work. Like in football, any play can work if it's executed. And once you start talking about, no, that's not the right scheme, it gets all wonky. But, I'd like to see it. I'd like to see anything different like that. Like, why not? Remember the first UFCs, that were like, they weren't round robins, but they were tournaments. But you'd see people, fight 2-3 times. Those were so insane and impactful. And they had a lot of like weird things that came out of it. Like, oh my God, this guy fought a guy that was injured. Oh, then there's a forfeit. Like, oh, wait a minute. Just unfair things happen, and which is so great for pro wrestling and, and what have you. So,
yeah. So let's get into it. There's not even a moment to spare. You immediately get to the action, which is so like you can already feel like the pace is different than the weekly shows, just because how quickly everything goes in. And the first match is Rikishi versus Benoit. It's a quarterfinal match. Benoit is getting most of the offense. He locks in a crossface, and Rikishi fights and makes it to the ropes. Benoit absolutely loses his cool. Cannot believe Rikishi didn't tap out. Grabs a chair and beats up Rikishi, takes the DQ, and just softens up Rikishi, puts him in a crossface, gets on the top rope, gives a headbutt to the arm, and really softens him up for the next round. I always love this storyline in a tournament where a babyface gets attacked by a heel and has to keep fighting even though he's injured. Really good way to build up sympathy for Rikishi.
And it's good for like Benoit playing the I'm out of control and unhinged, ironically.
Yeah, I guess like for me, that's fair. Because I was just like, why would Benoit just, why would he give this up?
He's unhinged.
But that's fair. That's the answer. Yeah. So this match was only $325. Earlier on Heat, Linda McMahon was here. And she's a little more charismatic than normal. And she says, Michael, I'm here to do something I should have done a long time ago. Confront my husband. And then we cut to the locker room of the McMahon-Helmsley faction. And this is where I'm like, okay, now we're back to the routine. And again, I have to say, like, there is a part of me that's kind of just like, all right, like, let's get through that. Too much of McMahon-Helmsley faction on the show. Not on this show in particular, but I mean, just on WWE programming at the moment, where like it needs to be freshened up a little. And Triple H warns Vince not to lose his cool around his wife. Vince says, tonight I'm Joe Cool. And he walks out, and as soon as he does, Shane and Triple H both agree like he's not going to keep his cool. Benoit is cuts a quick promo, and I actually like this, going to what I said about how I was a little upset that Benoit lost. He explains himself very well here. He says, the world already knows I'm the best technical wrestler in the world. And tonight, Rikishi learned I do what I want and nobody can stop me.
There you go.
He's explaining his motivations here, which I appreciated. We have Val Venis against Eddie Guerrero. Val is out with Trish Stratus. Val also has a new theme song. I'm not sure if this is the first time we hear it or I just wasn't paying attention the last few weeks, but it's kind of like a remix of his Hello Ladies theme, maybe with the TNA theme. I couldn't quite make out what the industrial backtrack was, but you're trying to evolve the character.
Yep.
So it's Val versus Eddie. Eddie has a new haircut. R.I.P. to the mullet. It's gone forever now. He had a good run with the mullet, but it's the new millennium and he needs a new haircut. There's a short "We Want Puppies" chant, allowing the King to plug the evening count match. As soon as Guerrero hits a top rope Huracan Rana, Trish gets on the apron. Chyna drops her. Venis grabs Chyna by the hair and pulls her up to the apron. Eddie sneaks behind for a roll-up. It's a 2 count. Then there's some more exchanges back and forth. And then Val hits a fisherman suplex, a perfect plex for the clean win.
Yeah.
So,
how's that clean finish, Smart Mark?
I mean, I was very into the I was honestly, there was a moment where I was like, wait, what? You're not even going to give Eddie an out?
Yep.
I have the Stockholm syndrome now of the no clean finishes. But I thought this was good. And it was like Venis caught him in a trap and he couldn't kick out. So I liked it.
Yeah. And Val Venis was well regarded as a great worker, talking about not phoning it in house shows. And, why sometimes these decisions are made. They're made through agents on the road and house shows being like, okay, that's, Yeah,
and I think he was kind of working on making the fisherman suplex his, like, secondary finisher to the money shot.
Yeah, so and also do something surprising. And part of it is like, you know what? Guerrero and Chyna can withhold this. They're stars without being like,
and I mean, just
they got a loss,
with the story you're telling, the winner of this match would face Rikishi, and you've built up a feud actually with Val and Rikishi for a few weeks now. Whereas with Eddie, it would be confusing because it would be face versus face. So like, who would the crowd might turn on Rikishi, and you want the sympathy as much as possible for Rikishi going into the final round.
Exactly, and you always want to throw a surprise in there, a surprise clean. Vince, so that's for that kid in the third row, that Pasbani kid. Get my clean
I was surprised. Dave Meltzer gave this match 3 stars. And Cage Match, which is a fan aggregate vote, gave it 5.3 out of 10. So it's
weird.
An okay match.
Very analytical, 5.3.
Yeah, the whole show overall got a 4.74. So not the best. It's a very middle of the road show, according to Cage Match fans.
Interesting. Pretty low, I think. Don't you?
Yeah, I thought I would have rated it like a 6.5, maybe.
Sure,
I would say.
Sure.
Definitely over a 5, I thought. So then we have a great segment of Pat Patterson is having so much fun with this angle. You could just tell, and it brings so much joy to me. He's back with one of the seamstresses who I recognize. I think I forget her name, but I see her on social media now. But one of the WWE seamstresses, and he's looking through dresses and very masculinely says, "I don't like any of these. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right." Undertaker would fit into this. He grabs like a giant black dress. I need a size 6. I want to look thin, sexy. And then the seamstress says, "Pat, I'm good, but I'm no miracle worker."
Good stuff.
Excellent. Rikishi's interviewed. He's asked if he's able to go. And Rikishi says, "What I've been through is nothing compared to what I'm going to do to Val Venis. I'm looking forward to it." Then we have another quarterfinal match, Crash versus Bull Buchanan. Commentary puts over Bull huge. He's 6'7". He takes the whole match, dominates everything. We learn that there's going to be a coronation tomorrow of the King. And Lawler quipped that he might attack the King like he did Bret Hart. That's another thing I want to mention. I was very impressed that you constantly refer to the history of the King of the Ring. It's not something WWE does a lot. And especially with, they still had heat at this moment with Bret Hart and Owen Hart's widow. So to mention them, I thought was kind of cool. Like, it definitely added prestige to the overall presentation.
Well, you kind of look at it too, like SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, King of the Ring, WrestleMania are the only ones that seem to they talk about that legacy or having a legacy. You know what I mean? That makes sense. The other ones kind of mix and matchy a little, in my opinion.
Yeah. And that's true. King of the Ring is like the lowest of the big five. It's not even in the big five. It doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. So
Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Forgot about that one. That's a mess.
So Crash steals the win with a quick roll. It's like a quarter Nelson cradle. He did a little wrestling action, a little freestyle wrestling to get the pin, and Bull is pissed. Vince storms into Linda's office. What do we have over here? He's like Enzo Amore all of a sudden. And she wants to make sure it's only going to be 3-on-3, not 12-on-3 like Thursday. My big complaint. I'm glad that someone's upset about that. And Vince he gets riled up and guarantees there will be no interference.
No 12-on-3.
So
don't you miss the days of remember when the NWO got so huge? Like they never. Or remember TNA had aces and eights, and like almost everyone in the whole roster was in aces and eights, which is kind of an NWO ripoff. And some of those run-ins were like, like pretty good. In a bad
need
way.
a little Michael Wall Street in the Van Helmsley fashion. Kurt Angle comes out. He has the mic. He says, "It's a very special night in the life of your Olympic hero. I'm going to do something that the Celtics could not do, that the Bruins could not do, the Patriots could not do. Damn, your local teams really do suck. The point is, your Olympic hero is going to bring home the crown. It's true. Or as you people in Boston say, it's true. I'm fat. Now bring me another beer." And the crowd actually popped. They didn't boo. They loved it.
Well, also at that time, God, the psychology of Boston, like they knew like other teams sucked so bad. They were legendary. It's totally the next decade blew all that apart,
Yeah. It's crazy.
Goodness. But,
Yeah, this definitely feels a little dated in that sense.
Yeah. It was weird. After the Celtics, they were like Red Sox, legendary losing crap, but then dynasties.
Jericho gets a big reaction. He says, "Kirk Angel, don't sell yourself short. You're already a king of goofy attire, a king of the nerds, and a king of being a 30-year-old virgin." Angle sells that huge. "You're already a royal pain in the ass, and that is true, jerky." Fun promo from Jericho. Fun competitive match. This was really good. And Jericho eventually locks in the walls of Jericho. Stephanie McMahon runs out to distract the ref. The ref is distracted, and then that's when Kurt Angle taps out. Ref doesn't see it. After Jericho lets go, there's a commotion and a ref bump. Stephanie comes in the ring and attempts to strike Jericho with the belt. He ducks and she hits Kurt. Jericho stalks her, grabs her by the back of the head, and like a true babyface, forces a kiss on her for a huge pop. This gives Angle enough time to recover, hit the Angle slam, and get the victory. And that was the match. Angle advances. And like I said, the quarterfinals are done in under 50 minutes. I was very impressed.
And find a good piece of business, continuing the Angle-Stephanie flirtation.
Yes, and it makes complete logical sense. She doesn't want Jericho to win either. She hates Jericho. She likes Angle. So why wouldn't she try to interfere? And with the winner, it kind of plays into like who Angle's title shot later on too.
And there's something always easier about losing in a tournament fashion, because I don't know, we just have in our national psychology of March Madness or something like upsets and great teams lose in a tournament and go, and it doesn't seem as impactful as like, oh, I'm going to lose here. It's going to resonate. It's just, it's just a tournament. I don't know, something about it.
Backstage, Shane is chastising Vince for not keeping his cool and agreeing to no interference in the match. And they're also worried about Triple H keeping his cool. We have a quick interview with Mick Foley at WWF New York. I believe this is the first time we're seeing Mick on TV since Mania. The fans seem to like his haircut. He's got a buzz cut now. And Lawler quips, "Hey Mick, can you tell us where you got your haircut? I want to make sure I don't make the same mistake." Christian says hello to Beantown, and Edge and Christian come out, and Edge's coat is fully zipped up. He's recapping some of the achievements of the Boston teams, and he talks about how this 5-second pose is about the greatest moment, the single greatest moment in Boston sports history. And then Edge unzips his jacket to reveal a Mets jersey. Oh no, it's one of the most embarrassing moments in Boston sports history. And they recreated Bill Buckner losing the ball, and the Mets, the amazing Mets of '85, winning the World Series. And it's so funny how dated it is, because they're talking about how like Boston sucks. They haven't won a World Series in 100 years. And now it's like, watching it now, it's like completely flipped. Like the Mets are still living off the fumes of that World Series. And, and Boston has won like a bunch since.
Yeah, it's absolutely flipped. Yeah, you forget like that Buckner thing was huge because Boston hadn't won the World Series in 100 years, and they kept getting close. And New York too would just squish them, and like the Yankees in the play, they were just like so downtrodden. And now the Mets are the ones who like they're spending tons of money, you know what I mean? And they're just getting, and they just Mets and Jets are just like just brutal.
It's tough being a New York sports fan, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it is right now. It's like everything's,
And I am not a Yankees fan. Never. I have class. So it's Edge and Christian against Too Cool, against T&A, against the Hardys. It's a elimination match for the tag team titles. A real fun way to try to get as many people on the show as possible. And if anything, this kind of highlights to me how competitive the non-main event scene is.
Right.
Because I was just thinking, like, where is Godfather? Where is Al Snow and Steve Blackman? And I'm sure if we went back 3 months, I would have asked, where's Albert? Where's Test? And like, now you're giving them an opportunity. So Al Snow and Blackman have to take a seat because their stuff didn't quite get over. So it's very interesting how you're shifting the pieces a little to give people opportunities to see if what they do works. And if they do, you keep showing them. Like Too Cool, you're not like lowering their amount of TV time because it's over. But if stuff isn't getting over, you're kind of put on the back burner a little.
Time-honored formula.
Yeah. This was a fun match. Trish looked absolutely incredible. She had a snakeskin one piece on and just like what a woman. And me personally, big pop for the Hardys officially entering with Lita. I was very happy about that. Hardys and TNA start. At one point, Trish got on the apron. Lita pulls her off, and then Lita tries to get on the apron. Albert pulls her into the ring with a two-handed overhead choke. Matt drop kicks Albert in the crotch. One thing led to another. Jeff Swanton's Test and T&A are eliminated. Which makes sense. This kind of went in the pecking order, the eliminations. Like TNA are the newest team, least over. They get out first. One thing that kind of surprised me is now that the quarterfinals are done, I feel like this was the match where people might have gotten up and gotten to the bathroom or the popcorn or what have you, because the crowd was totally dead. No reaction to any of the work until the Hardys took off their shirts. Big high-pitched pop from the ladies.
Oh, come back from the popcorn line.
Lita was able to sneak in a top rope Huracan Rana on Edge. Very nice of Edge to sell for her. Matt hits a twist of fate on Christian. Edge pulls Matt out. Jeff goes up for a swanton. Edge pushes Jeff off the top rope. Matt tries to get another twist of fate on Christian and gets reversed into an unprettier, and the Hardys are eliminated. This gets big heat. The crowd did not like the Hardys being eliminated. Too Cool come in for the first time, and the crowd absolutely wake up as they haven't been in the match the whole time, which was smart. Get a good pop going. Christian at one point mocks the dance moves, and Edge and Christian had great heel offense here. They basically take most of this, and then at one point they give Brian Christopher a double flapjack, and he's in position for a worm, and they both mock Scotty doing the worm dance. The crowd is very upset about this, only for Scotty to come in and dispose of Christian and put Edge in position, and then Scotty hits an actual worm on Edge to the crowd's pleasure. Crowd is very into it. Too Cool hit their finisher on Edge. Rev goes to kick Scotty out of the ring. The finisher is, of course, the leg drop from the top rope by Brian Christopher. And as the ref is kicking Scotty out, Christian hits Brian Christopher with a belt shot. Edge and Christian steal the titles.
Nice.
My one criticism is you did a belt shot in the last match. Two belt shots back to back.
Well, that's because the competitors watched the other match and said, "Ooh, that's a good idea."
Oh, okay. Then we see a commercial. The courage to risk it all. The determination to be the best. The desire to raise the goal. The will of triumph. Some wish it would happen, but a champion makes it happen. WWF Fully Loaded next month. Okay. It's just like, it's so funny, these non-Big Five pay-per-views, how they seem very thrown together. Like, we're doing another one next month. Just come along.
Well, you got that super fabulous graphics and, department. Use it.
It's true. It's true. We have Crash Holly. He cuts a promo on Patterson and Brisco saying he wants his title back. And he says he's going to make quick work of Angle in the semifinals tonight. Rikishi comes out for his semifinal match. We get a recap. Like, I think you showed Benoit beating him up like 3 times. You really want to get over to the crowd that Rikishi is beat up. Val Venis comes out. He takes most of the match. Goes to the top rope for the money shot. Rikishi stands up. Val is shocked. Val changes to a double axe handle. Rikishi catches him and hits a belly to belly to get the win.
Nice.
And then after he gets the win, he's celebrating. Trish jumps on his back. Rikishi does a judo throw to get her off his back. And her landing looked very stiff. He puts her in position for a bonsai drop, and Venis comes and gives Rikishi a low blow. And now Val Venis attacks Rikishi with a chair. He places his arm on the stairs and strikes it with a chair. You're really wondering, is Rikishi going to be able to go in the finals?
I know.
He had a bad luck tonight, Rikishi. Coach is interviewing Gerald Brisco. Brisco cuts him off. You think it's funny I have to wear a dress? The only emotion running through my head is revenge. Coach notes that revenge isn't an emotion. Brisco says, shut up! Pat Patterson stole my title. Patterson's going to find out I'm all man. We have a knock. Oh, right as he says, I'm all man. There's a knock at the door, and it's a text saying, Mr. Brisco, your dress has arrived. Would you like the regular panties or the crotchless kind?
Oh, boy.
You guys had so much fun with this. I loved it. And I was just constantly entertained.
It's one of those things where, of course, evening gown match, Patterson Brisco, it's going to get heat, right? Period.
Yeah.
So the point is, well, it's booked. Like everything, go nuts. Right? What are you going to do? Just get it over with. No.
Yeah.
People going to hate it, make them absolutely be disgusted by it.
I just really love the dichotomy of them just being like, I'm a masculine person. And they're like,
of course.
Sarah, your feminine dress is here.
Yeah.
Then we have Crash against Kurt Angle. Impressive start to the match. Crash clearly has freestyle wrestling experience because they do a cool amateur exchange to start things off. And Crash has momentum. He charges Kurt. Kurt hits a stun gun and then an Angle slam and gets the clean win. Angle versus Rikishi in the finals.
Yep.
Now, before we get to the finals, one of the comments on the last episode was a question asking, why not make the final four? This was actually from John Black. Why not make the final four Jericho, Angle, Eddie Guerrero, and Chris Benoit? Seems like a no-brain thing to do.
Well, it's because it didn't shake out that way.
Yeah, and also I think to that point, it's that you're not booking this for great matches. That's crazy as to say you're booking this for a story, and there was no story with the four of those guys at the moment, where the story was with Rikishi and obviously with Angle.
Yeah, and also, I think, I don't know what impact it would have been to be like, if it were be a week-to-week thing, I could see that more, be like, oh, and next week we have the final four, like in football, like, oh, here's the champion. Now we got two, matches, and then go to the one.
That's an excellent point. Like, why would you want to give away Chris Benoit versus Kurt Angle and Jericho and Eddie without advertising it ahead of time too? Like, those are big matches. Whereas these, I didn't even consider that aspect of it. Like, you're not really burning through any matches in this tournament. It's like matches that without the story don't really matter.
Yeah. And so I would see if there was a different format and somehow it'd be like, and next week, the final four competitors are facing off. And then the other, that would have been more the case. Yeah. It would have been kind of a waste.
Yeah.
So
that's fair. Then we get the recap of the MSG event, the 14th consecutive sellout at MSG, which is nothing to scoff at. That is very impressive. And I think it made it into like the 20s before it ended. I think it was like way past the Attitude Era when the sellout stopped, like 2004 or something. And the footage was all about how Donald Trump and his wife Melania were in attendance and loving it. And like we mentioned, Lawler
were they
Trump.
married yet? I'm not sure.
No, let's see. But yeah, it was crazy to see like a young Melania there, I guess they were married in 2005. So no.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I remember it being there and, and thinking that was his daughter or something. And just like, it wasn't even till like later it was like, oh my God, and that was Melania. Goodness gracious.
They cut back to Ross and Lawler at the announce booth. And since, you just saw Lawler interviewing Trump, you cut back and Ross points out that Lawler is wearing the same jacket 2 nights in a row. And Lawler is so thrown off by by being put on the spot. And he just, oh, come on, Jim. I have many of these jackets. And what about what you're wearing? And Lawler goes that Trump shouldn't run for president. He should run for the King of New York. Ross says he has a great haircut. All of this is so weird to watch.
Yeah, of course.
26 years later.
Yeah.
But there we are. We have Kane interviewed, and he says, what The Rock and my brother need to understand is it's always been about one thing, me becoming WWF champion. Undertaker's interviewed immediately after and said, he didn't come to Boston to lose. I almost feel like Kane and Undertaker are being downplayed in this match a little bit. I mean, I guess you're giving them these promos here, but at no point did I think either of them were going to win.
Yeah.
As a smart mark. We see the match graphic for Patterson and Brisco. It pops me so much because the Patterson shot is a posed shot of him in drag with the title. And then the Brisco shot is not posed. It's a screenshot from SmackDown of when the camera catches him in drag for the first time. And like, I'm so all about this. Brisco comes out. He has a wig. He has lipstick, heels, and a 2x4. He does big flexes, comes out to Real American. Pat Patterson comes out to a song that's like a ballroom type song. And he is so confident and into this. There's zero bits of shame. He's soaking it in. Like, this is the most like he knows this. He's going to make the most of this. And I think that's what really, really makes it, is that they are selling it. If they were embarrassed or whatever, it would have sucked. Well, it kind of sucked, but Like, so far, it's great.
Well, it's the nature of the business. It's good for the locker room. Hey, if I can do that.
Yeah. Loved it. He came out with a shopping cart of bad weapons, like pillows and stuff. And Ross quips that he looks a lot like Moolah. I'm sorry, that was Lawler. And then Ross said, Patterson's locker room is disguised as a closet. Ross was having a lot of fun. Both of them were, both the announcers. Lawler said, Patterson said, I'm more of a man than he'll ever be and more of a woman than he'll ever get. Patterson goes over to Fink, gives him a huge kiss, and takes the mic. Look at you, Pat says. You look like an old drag queen. Every time you defend your title, I was always by your side. Was I not your friend? And I have to say, Pat's a great promo. These people want us to go at it bad, but hold on. If it's the belt that you want, I'll show you what kind of friend I am. I will lay down in the middle of this ring. Lawler goes, oh no. And you'll lay on top of me. Oh, please. And you can get your pin. You like it? Brisco nods. She likes it, Lawler says. The way he said, she likes it, is just burned into my brain.
Yeah, it's...
And then they hug. Brisco accepts. And then, of course, Patterson low blows Brisco. And we're off to the races. And at one point, Ross calls Brisco Geraldine Brisco. Patterson is peeling a banana, stuffing it in Brisco's face. Here's your banana. Then in maybe the... grossest spot. Completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
Patterson pulls out a pad from his crotch. And at first the announcers were like, what is this? And that's a sanitary napkin.
Oh.
I didn't think that was necessary.
Well, you can guess where that came from.
that was a director from the top. And even the banana I thought was like a little weird. Patterson's then teasing the stink face. Patterson is, all of it is weird.
Yeah.
Patterson teases the stick face and Brisco low blows him. The crowd, I want to say, it's at this point that I'm like, oh, this isn't that funny anymore. Oh, they have to have a match. And the crowd turns on it. They're chanting bullshit. Yeah. They don't want this. They're really, really against this.
Yeah.
And Ross says, somebody's sitting at home saying, this ain't wrestling.
Yeah.
I want to ask though, what was the vibe backstage? Was this a sellout at the monitors? Was everyone watching this?
No one called it a sellout, but
okay, but there were people.
Stuff was going. Yeah, and in retrospect, it should have been just like a 2-minute deal. Yeah.
This one's too long. Like if this was cut in, like. I was into, I came into it being excited. I'm like, oh, this is kind of weird. Like now it's just like gross and two old guys rolling around.
Yeah.
My favorite spot though was Brisco eventually gets a Bronco Buster and then takes Patterson's wig, chokes Patterson with his own wig, and then does the war dance with the wig. That got me back into it for a second. And then finally Crash comes out and the pop from the crowd isn't so much like, oh, it's Crash. It's more like relief. Oh, thank God, this is almost over. Here's Crash. And he essentially gives, disposes of Brisco, trash can to Patterson's head. Instant 1, 2, 3. Crash wins. Crowd is so happy that they don't have to deal with this anymore. And Ross quips, so much for that vaunted WWF youth movement.
Yeah.
And then Lawler says, good news, Pat. They'll let you keep your wardrobe.
Yeah.
And then as Patterson is leaving, Brisco charges at him and takes him down. And at this point, Ross breaks character. He's like laughing. The agents come to break it up. And Brisco is like giving kissy faces to Sergeant Slaughter, who can't hold his laughter in.
Yeah.
So they're having a good time. And Ross says, if I wasn't a happily married man, I'd switch teams. I want to point out that our good friend PMFG 11, who we haven't heard from in a few weeks, left a comment on last week's episode. And he says, Dude buries WCW 2000 and then puts Patterson versus Brisco over because people still talk about it to this day, laughing my ass off. Well, I mean, it's wrestle crap, but it's fun wrestle crap.
Yeah. And, well, in the final analysis, like we said, I think no pad, no banana, way shorter. The intentions were Crash comes out earlier. Some, could have been whatever.
It should have been that Bronco Buster spot, the choking with the wig, war dance, Crash. It's over.
Yeah.
That's it.
Maybe even less. It's like a B movie. You see all those old posters and those old trailers like, oh my God. Then you sit down and watch it and you're like, oh, okay, this is fucking way too long. This is not, when's the monster going to come out and etc. But if you're going to be drizzling shits, be really drizzling.
Yes. Then we get the Dudleys cut a promo. Bubba writes Tori's name on the table. And I'm just like, okay. Last pay-per-view, I was like, oh, no, you shouldn't give the fans the table spot. Going into this, I was just like, it's time. This is the show. You made people pay for it. You promoted that it could happen. The Dudleys have been, they've got thrown into a dumpster. They got to get their heat back. So I was waiting for it. And I'm not again, this was a dumpster tables handicap match. They didn't quite explain the rules of the match. It was only 2-3 minutes into the match. Thankfully, Lawler and Ross are pros. And so they kept repeating that so the Dudleys have to get thrown in the dumpster, but they only have to put the other guys through the table, right? That's right, King. Okay, good. Because I didn't pick up on that. It's so confusing. For one team to win, they have to do one action. For another team to win, they have to do another action.
Right. Well, it's one of those things. It's based on the I think, old school wrestling. When you see those posters, whatever, it's just what rolls off the tongues is, dumpsters versus tables. And there's some kind of legitimacy to that storyline. But then once you start to get into it, what? And then the more you start explaining, the worse it gets. So fuck it, just do it. And then, it's. Work.
Sure, yeah, whatever.
I know, because the more you start saying, is it harder to be thrown in a dumpster than through a table? Well, I don't know. Technically, I think probably thrown in a dumpster is easier. Is it? I don't know.
Yeah. The big spot early in the match is Bubba would drop one of the DX members, lift up their legs, and of course, Steven goes to the top rope and does what is eventually called the Wazop headbutt, where he just headbutts the crotch. So he headbutts Road Dogg in the crotch, and then grab X-Pac, headbutts X-Pac in the crotch. And then they set up Tori, and it's like, are they going to do it? And they do, and then Devon really stays in her crotch for an extra 30 seconds. Very creepy. Very creepy. Very 2000 WWE. But of course, the crowd is super pumped for it.
Yeah.
Then the ref is caring for Tori. After this, and the male members of DX dump the Dudleys in the dumpster, but the ref doesn't see it. I don't know why this was even necessary. And by the time the DX gets the ref's attention, the Dudleys have snuck out of the so the dumpster has a top load and then side exits too. Yeah. So they snuck out through the sides and snuck under the ring and then came back on the other side with chairs and crushed DX's head. Always so hard to watch these 2000 chair shots to the head. Brutal.
I'm curious. Did anyone say dump the Dudleys in the dumpster? That should have been a good phrase. They dumped. You said it, but it's pretty good.
Oh yeah.
They dumped the Dudleys in the dumpster. Should have been said.
There we go. Gotta get
the Dudleys are dumped in the dumpster.
They set up a double table outside the ring, set up the stairs in the ring, and they do a huge power bomb to Road Dogg through the double table. It looked awesome. Got a big pop. And then they quickly superplex X-Pac through another table. Now the X is disposed of. Tori has nowhere to go. So she jumps in the dumpster. And as they go to get her, DX sneak up behind them, double chair shots, and they throw the Dudleys into the dumpster, and they get the win. And I'm like, wait, what? Hold on. So we're not doing this? Okay. And like, in a way, I was like, all right, I'm kind of into it. I'm kind of into not giving the fans what they want. But of course, it's only because the DX gets the win, because the Dudleys get the heat. Because as DX are leaving, they're like, wait a minute, where is Tori? It turns out she's still in the dumpster with the Dudleys. And the Dudleys come out of the dumpster with Tori. And Road Dogg and X-Pac trying to make the save. They both get 3D'd. Bubba grabs Tori by the back of the hair, sticks his tongue out. Again, very creepy. Like, this is like, it's so wild to me that this was considered babyface behavior. Because like nowadays, like watching it in 2026, it takes me out of it. It's just like, oh wow, this is a little like but before he stuck.
I bet you don't like those old cowboy movies where the guy forcefully kisses the woman and she ultimately succumbs, and you call yourself an American.
I'm just saying, like, I was rooting for Tori to get tabled, and then this happened. I'm like, oh, poor Tori. I suddenly have sympathy for her. It's like this guy's twice her size, and like he's like creeping on her. But they powerbomb her through the table.
She's quite an athlete, by the way. She's an incredible athlete.
Yeah, no, she was great. She played her role to perfection. And Big Pop, this is what the match was all about. They just wanted to see Tori go through the table. Yep. You gave it to them.
And if I remember, I think, and I'm not positive of this, I think she had a very hurt shoulder. And I think it was even maybe the night before. Or just something that existed, but she had, I think she had surgery, like I think right after this, like this week, and she was out. So she had a lot of respect as a worker. And then later she even became a coach on Tough Enough and stuff. I know that. But
no, I always thought she was great. I'm
pretty sure she had I think shoulder surgery or something after this.
Well, I guess it's a good way to write her off the show.
Whew.
We have a backstage promo from Kurt. He says, Rikishi's a great athlete if you like shaking butts and faces. Pardon my French. Like butt is a curse. And he says he will win, and it's true. It's true. Rikishi promo, he says, of course, this means a lot to him. Otherwise, he wouldn't still be here. And he refers to Angle as Captain America. We have our setup for our finals of the King of the Ring tournament. And Angle attacks. I will say, though, in a way, it is a little disappointing that this is a storyline heavy match, as opposed to like this could have been a climactic wrestling match with two guys who have already wrestled twice and like, oh, who's going to get to the finish line first?
Right.
But that's not the story you're telling here. But eventually, Rikishi teases a stink face, gets low blowed, and Ross once again goes through all the past kings, including Bret Hart, Austin, Triple H, Owen Hart. At one point, Angle rushes Rikishi and hits an Olympic slam, only for a 2 count. Ross says this is the first time anyone's kicked out, but I want to say The Rock kicked out a few weeks ago, but maybe. Angle goes for a roll up. Rikishi sits on Angle for a close 2 count. Crowd is hot, and we get Angle chants. The crowd is rooting for Angle. Rikishi goes to the top rope. Angle stops him, and in a very impressive looking spot, a belly to belly off the second rope. It looks like Rikishi landed very badly on his elbow because he instantly grabbed it and was holding on to it after the match. And it was the type of selling that didn't look like character selling. It looked like, oh, I landed on my elbow, and I'm a giant. Angle gets the pin. He's the King of the Ring, as expected.
Yep.
Backstage, the McMahon Helmsley faction are hyping each other up. They don't seem on the same page. We have The Rock and Mike Piazza on the cover of USA Today. Ross says WWE's
Mike Piazza.
My man. I used to have a chant when I would go to Shea Stadium. Tomato, cheese, dough, Piazza.
Yeah, wow.
That was my go-to. We have the main event. Everyone's entering. We see a shot of Angle watching on a monitor backstage, chugging a half gallon of milk. Shane and Kane start the main event. Shane tries to roll out, but Undertaker throws him back in. Kane military presses Shane. Double team attempt with Vince. and Kane knocks them both down. Rock is tagged in. Triple H tries to sneak attack The Rock. He gets spotted by The Rock, and they have a showdown. Rock says, just bring it. Shane attacks him from behind. Heat, lots of heat on The Rock. And Undertaker gets tagged in at one point. Big chokeslam to Shane. Looks like he has the match won, and The Rock breaks up the pin, telling the story that the faces aren't necessarily getting along, and they don't want... Remember, if any of the faces pin any of the heels, the person who gets the pin is the champion. Very confusing. A lot of confusing stipulations, this pay-per-view. But I thought this little moment did a lot to establish that fact. At one point, Rock tries to pin Triple H. Shane and Vince come in to break it up. Undertaker and Kane attack them on the outside. Then Kane attacks Undertaker. And in the ring, Rock goes for people's elbow. Kane comes in, chokeslams The Rock. And Triple H is celebrating as if this was all part of the plan, like Kane is on their side. And of course, Kane turns on Triple H, gives him the tombstone, goes for the pin, almost has it, but Undertaker pulls him out. Now, one thing leads to another. Shane ends up on the top rope. Undertaker's on the apron and chokeslams him all the way to the announce desk. It was the big spot of the match, and it looked great. The crowd reacted huge to it. After this, Vince comes into the ring and sees an opportunity for the corporate elbow. And The Rock gets up, rock bottom. He gets the win, and he's the new champion. And before Undertaker drives off, he says The Rock owes him one. This is the finish I assumed. I figured, like, it's not like any of the guys on the face team are going to eat a pin. Right. And the only person that could eat the pin here is Vince, because it doesn't matter if he loses, right? But I feel like this kind of it's a weak way to get the title on The Rock. The Rock doesn't look strong here. You know, this looks like like shenanigans. Yeah,
I agree. But
and in fact, you know who else agrees with us? Dave Meltzer. He says the win didn't help The Rock as he's backdoored into it. The feeling was that beating Vince McMahon would be as big or bigger than actually pinning Triple H, but the crowd didn't react the same, and it was someone hurt by a main event that was the weakest main event since the last time Vince booked himself in the main event. It also sets the stage for Triple H having to complain that he never actually lost the title, but in booking in this manner, it basically states what's best for Triple H is more important than what's best for the title, an attitude other promotions have used, which has resulted in the long run with their titles meaning nothing. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I don't disagree, but you know, whether the run means, it's not like, oh, the inception of the run was bad, so therefore the whole run's tainted. That's not potentially the case, but I don't disagree. I mean, got mixed feelings, but like once it was booked, it's like, well, what are you going to do? It's probably the best option, you know, unless, you know, we talked about like, you know, something maybe good would have been, I thought Kane, you know, I would have been like, oh my God, he's a wild card or whatever, you know, that was my first.
You were pushing for Kane to win.
Well, when I was pushing, I'm not.
You were suggesting.
It's not like there's a look. I really feel strongly. You know, to be like, well, you know, if you ask me here, you know, you're just throwing out every option. You know what I mean? You think through every option of every possible scenario. That probably would have been my favorite, and then thinking all the permutations afterwards. But you know, so you know, sometimes just like, oh, you want a crowd pleaser in a way, like there's The Rock and what have you, and you know, deal with those things after. But I don't completely disagree with Meltzer. I feel like, oh, you throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's the wrong metaphor, but it's like it's not all tainted. You know, you can fix it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This could be tomorrow, a few promos, and it's set. I just feel like this is a weak way for someone to win the championship. Yeah. I kind of felt this way. Like I kind of feel that way now about like Money in the Bank too, when they just kind of sneak in after somebody has a, you know, 40-minute match and like, oh, all right, you know, I'm going to sneak in and steal the title. And like, oh, here's my first title ring.
Although I like that for heels stealing it, you know.
For heels,
it's about like, oh my God, someone climbed the mountain to get there and they were there and then they got fucked. You know, so that's good, you know, so, but yeah, that's the problem with this. I think you're pointing out too, is like, oh, if you want the triumphant baby face, didn't really go through this kind of deal or was like kind of cheap, you know. So, but
actually, she separated her shoulder the night before, Tori, at Madison Square Garden, according to Meltzer. I'm just kind of scanning through the report,
and then
and they gave her a lot of credit for coming to do this show. And I guess she has a history of injuries with the same shoulder in Japan when she worked there.
Tough performer.
You definitely have a lot of intrigue going into Raw. And like I said, though, ultimately, this was an easy show to watch. I agree as far as like Meltzer gave the main event 1 3/4 stars, so he did not like it. The cage match fans gave it 5.63, so they were a little more.
I mean, it's favorable. For what it was, what else are you gonna do, kind of thing, you know?
Yeah,
and the excitement about triple threats and 4-ways is that kind of like, you know, oh my God, number 2 finishes, but it's funnier. It's better than just like 2 people doing that over and over, because you're like, oh, so-and-so's going to pull this person off and what have you. But, you know, there's no way around it being a little bit dicey with just by the nature of the match.
Yeah, when you set up the 6-person tag, it was gonna have a, you know, a lame finish. But this, I wouldn't even say it's lame. This was, like I said, the only finish you could really do. It wouldn't make sense to have Triple H lose in a 6-person tag environment, I don't think.
I thought, you know, a possibility is you throw a bunch of things out was like The Rock to like just give the title up the next night, to be like, I'm better than that, and to lose to this piece of shit. You know what I mean? I don't pin you to win the title, and like, you know, just and put it up, and then he could win it that night also, you know.
Right. So kind of have just a singles match with him and Triple H.
Yeah, that was or whatever. That was my you know, could have been a bunch of things, but that was my suggestion, but nope.
Well, we'll see next week where they end up going with it.
Yeah, this was a fun. It's always fun for everyone when it was like you get to drive to Boston. Then I think the Worcester, it's like an hour away, and then the next night was Hartford.
Oh, like the DC Center, of course.
Another hour away, and then back home. So everyone's like, all the, you know, the Northeast
the
people
local
are
loop.
Happy. Yeah, it's fun to like no airports,
and even for people who live in Tampa, it's a quick 3-hour flight back home.
Yeah, and when you got 3 places that are all within an hour of each other. You know, Boston, Worcester, Hartford, they're all like hour, 2 hours, you know, so. Whew.
So watching it back, what was your, how did you feel at the end of the show?
Oh, as usual, like, what do we do tomorrow? Let's get out of here. We're at the Fleet Center. There's a fucking rental car. Oh, shit. There's fucking traffic. Fucking Boston, Fleet Center. It's fucking.
No, I mean, watching it today, how was it watching it?
You know, it's one of those things where like, I like it. It's interesting because it's a little different, you know. It's like a tournament. I always enjoyed that, but it didn't have the big crazy crescendo, super crowd pleasing main event. You know, it just kind of had went to, you know. But again, it's even when it was happening, I remember like, oh, that's the best it's going to be with that kind of match. I think. What are you going to do? You know, like really what, you know, it's like, so any of the things that made this a not stellar pay-per-view were already set in stone with the booking, I think, for the main event,
right?
At least, you know.
Yeah. And I guess to my point about how the final, like if you did book a competitive final for the King of the Ring, maybe that would have softened the blow, because that would have been like the one great match on the show. That's what this show was missing, like one really great wrestling match, which I feel WWF pay-per-views in 2000 would deliver, and it would usually be the main event. That was that great match,
right?
And that was missing on the show.
Yeah, it was a Gaga main event. There's no way around it.
Yeah,
so. There you have it.
You live and you learn. I think they ended up okay anyway.
Yeah, and also sometimes you got to just do your best to make chicken salad out of chicken booking, you know, and but ultimately, again, At the end of the night, I don't think the crowd was unsatisfied. There's enough going on, you know?
Yeah, I'm sure that, well, like the show also sold out in like 10 minutes. So
yeah.
It's fine. I guess the true sign will be if the next show sells out, which I'm sure it will, because WWE is still super hot. So I think you guys will be fine.
Yeah. No, but it was like kind of like, sometimes you just get pushed into a corner, because I kind of felt like, you can say a million bad things about the main event, and one of them being like, oh, you shouldn't really have any of those guys interact physically at all. You should save that. You know what I mean? Kane seemed like he kind of wasted a lot of physical stuff without building any real heat between these main huge guys in a big thing, just to see them all. And so, yeah. So what was the, what did Meltzer give it?
1 1/4 stars for the main event, or 1 3/4 stars.
And I assume that's out of 5 stars.
Yes.
1 3/4 out of 5,
which is a pretty bad rating. The highest rated match was Angle and Jericho. It got 3 1/4. And then
I would have given the main event 2.5 out of 5.
Oh, okay.
Not good.
Passable.
Yeah, but I'm
a passing grade.
Yeah, some bigger stuff could have happened. I don't know. Maybe, even teasing what happened with Kane or something, being in the McMahon Helmsley, something like that.
Yeah, that was just like completely brushed. Yeah, you should have teased that maybe in the weeks before, about like them trying to coerce him or something.
Or just like have him do it. Have him make a heel turn right in, that would have been something,
Yeah.
That was my suggestion. Heel turn, Kane, title. Why not?
And he was like, no, thank you.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Woo!
That's the show, folks. Let us know what you thought. Give us an email, tftattitudeera@gmail.com. Yes, send us your feedback. Of course, follow us on social media, TFT Attitude Era, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok.
On Tout.
And we'll see you next week as we go to the Raw after King of the Ring on Tales from the Attitude Era.